The hard reality of trying to turn your creativity into a profitable business is that most of the time you fail. And it's usually because you've made one of the 3 big mistakes I'll talk about in this video. And I have made all these mistakes. I have made them, I learned from them, and now I teach you how to avoid them, which is how I get amazing testimonials like this, and also this. The good news is that these mistakes are completely avoidable once you know what they are. So thank you to OmniSend for sponsoring this video. Mistake number 1 is not understanding your target audience. So please don't cancel me for this one. I know for a lot of you it's gonna kind of hit home a little bit, but hear me out, okay? If you wanna turn your creativity into a profitable business that pays your bills, you cannot just make the art that you wanna make, randomly post it, and expect dollars to roll in. That is not how this works. I know it feels so pure and authentic to give the middle finger to marketing, post whatever you want, and be like, I'm gonna do whatever. I'm gonna stick to my artistic vision no matter what it is, no compromises. And to be fair, sometimes this works. Maybe like 1% of the time? Maybe like 1%. But I really believe in taking an active role in your own success, to think things through and be strategic, because I don't know about you, but I don't have a ton of room for failure. I have family that have experienced bankruptcy and homelessness. I do not come from money, so I know what it's like to live on that brink. I come from a very low income background, and if there is a skill that I can learn or a task that I can do to increase my odds of success by even 1% or a fraction of 1%, I will be there. I will learn that skill. I will do that thing. And that means that if I want my creativity to be a business, I have to treat it like a business. If you've ever read a business or a marketing book, one of the very first things they'll want you to do is to understand your ideal customer on a very deep level, to be able to articulate how your work benefits their lives and what value you are providing. So please hear me when I say this. Saying your audience is people who like art or anyone that loves pretty things is simply not good enough. I know it can be tempting to kind of cop out here, but you are putting yourself at an extreme disadvantage by doing so. So here are some really important things that I want you to know about your ideal customer. What do they want? What motivates them? What emotion or experience do they wish they had more of in their lives? What frustration are they dealing with, or what challenge are they trying to overcome? Understanding your demographics, like for example, most of you are women between 18 and 45. That can be useful. That's not like no data whatsoever, right? There is information there, but what's more useful actually is understanding your customers' psychographics, or in human words, their heart, their soul, what they want. Understanding what they want in life, their big goals, their struggles, their pain points, their hobbies, how they spend their time, all of that is big, scary information, but it's so important. Because when you understand this, you can create incredibly tailored content to your customer and get comments like, oh my God, how did you know that I needed this? It's like you read my mind. Or how do you always post exactly what I need at the perfect time? Stuff like that. It's so good to get those comments. I want that for you. And my goal here is not to kill your creativity with market research. I just want to help you make sure that your content, that your work is reaching the folks that it's meant for. And that's why mistake number 2 is not having that direct connection to your customer. This one is so common, and I think it has personally lost me like tens of thousands of dollars in sales. So here's what I usually see happening. You are selling your work on platforms like Etsy, or even in galleries, or on Instagram, or at art fairs, and you're thinking to yourself, hey, this is great, it's working, but what happens after someone purchases your work? They get your work, you get their money, and then what? Nothing, right? Usually that's it. That's the mistake. You have no way to contact that person ever again. You have no way to reach them. They could fall off the face of the earth and you would have no idea. That is the massive missed opportunity. If those platforms go away, if that gallery cuts ties with you, or that art fair closes down, or Instagram bans your account, you have no way to contact all of those people that paid their hard-earned cash for your creative work. And in this economy, that means something. You have no idea who they are, why they chose this piece, how they ended up feeling about it, and importantly, you can't get any of that information because you have no way to reach them. You can't tell that person when you have a sale or a new collection, or even when your business is having a hard time and you want help. And I don't want you working from scratch for every single sale. And I think actually as a small business, you have a massive advantage over large corporations. You, and I really do mean you, can directly contact your customers. If you collect their emails or their phone numbers, you can call them up and literally ask them how they are liking their product and if they need help or if they have any questions. And when you drop a new collection, you can contact them, send them an email and say something like, "Hey Janet, I noticed that you purchased one of my landscape paintings of the California coast a few months ago, and I just wanted to let you know I dropped a new collection I think you will personally love. I am personally reaching out to you to let you know this opportunity is available, and as a thank you for coming back to my store, here's a discount code just for you." Because the best creatives out there that curate exceptional, impressive customer experiences don't have to go viral, because they surprise and delight and impress people enough that people talk about it. It becomes notable, it becomes memorable, and they grow via word of mouth. And you can only cultivate that kind of relationship if you have an email list. So before we talk about the third mistake, the one that could absolutely destroy your business if you aren't careful, I want to take a minute to talk about OmniSend, the sponsor of this video and an amazing email marketing platform. OmniSend is an email marketing tool built specifically for e-commerce. That means they understand you're not just sending newsletters, you are trying to build relationships that lead to sales. With OmniSend, you can send automated sequences that do a lot of this heavy lifting for you. So when someone purchases, they will automatically get a follow-up from you a few days later asking how they're enjoying their new product. Or if they add something to their cart, but they fail to check out, you can send them an email asking if they have any questions and even include a discount code for their order. OmniSend integrates with a ton of the major e-commerce platforms out there, like Shopify, Etsy, WooCommerce, BigCartel, and more. If you've been putting off starting an email list because it feels overwhelming, OmniSend makes it really simple. And if you're already collecting emails, but you're not following up strategically, this will change everything. If you want to give it a try, use my code Kelsey30 for 30% off your first 3 months, and the link is in the description. Thank you again to OmniSend for sponsoring this video, and let's get back to our third mistake. And mistake number 3 is not running the numbers. This is the one that will destroy your business if you ignore it, and honestly, the one that I'm most passionate about helping you avoid. I think creatives all too often seriously undercharge for their work. Maybe you price based on what feels fair or what you see other people doing, but you don't actually know whether those prices really make sense for your business. You're not calculating how much time things are taking, what your materials really cost, taking taxes into consideration, or how much you'd have to charge per hour to actually pay your bills. I learned this the hard way in college. I was selling my paintings in galleries and on Facebook groups and seriously undercharging. I priced my work based on what people around me could afford, and I ended up not even being able to cover materials, let alone my own labor. And that was a fine mistake to make when I was in college, and I had no real expenses. But if I were to do that today as a real adult, that would basically be financial suicide. So I want to bust through a lot of this anxiety and this overwhelm and do a super simple activity that will hopefully put a lot of this into perspective. I want you to think about your financial goal. Put down a concrete number, let's say 50K, can be any number. Now, let's assume that you are just selling one product, like prints or originals. How many of that one product do you think you'll be able to sell? Consider your audience size and the sales that you've been able to get before. Now let's put down a quantity, let's say 100. Again, we're just kind of playing around here. And by the way, I did put together a whole Notion template that does all of this math for you. It is linked in the description. And then all we have to do is just divide your financial goal by that quantity. So by that number, right? And congrats, that's your price. In our case, for $50,000 selling 100 products, we'd have to charge $500. Cool. Now we know. Now you can start messing around with labor costs and expenses and materials all you want, and that gives you kind of a rough idea of what to expect. I'm not saying that you should for sure charge that amount if you want to make that much money. Like, that's not the point. The point is to kind of walk you through these mental steps of thinking, okay, I want to make this much money, but I can only sell this amount. Here's roughly what I should charge for this goal. And really what I want to do here is kind of show you how there are two really big levers that you can push and pull to make money in your business. Number one is the quantity sold. You can increase that by selling more in your content, growing your audience, increasing your conversion rate, working on your sales pages, all that jazz. The next one is the price. So the more you charge, the less ultimately you have to sell. And that's the big lesson here. The more you charge, the less you have to sell. So if you can figure out a way to sell a $5,000 product to a 100-person audience, like congrats, you have discovered the secret. And as long as you are reaching the right people, you can absolutely get away with charging more and selling less. And this is how creatives with very small audiences are able to go full-time without having to go viral. Don't forget to grab that free resource. And if you want to learn more about how to attract actual customers into your business, watch this video next, and I'll see you there. Bye.